Hi everyone, my name is Monique Apodaca, and this is my introduction to cultural diversity. So to begin with all about me, I was born and raised in Pueblo West, Colorado, which is located in southern Colorado. I just turned 25 years old just a few weeks ago. I am not married yet, nor do I have any children of my own. In the future, yes, just not before I get my master's degree. I do have a boyfriend. His name is James. We've been together just a little bit over 2 years. And he has a son, which makes him technically my stepson. And his name is Asher. He's 3 years old. Teaching eats up a lot of my free time, especially since I took over a new grade level and teaching online this year. But some things that I love to do are travel. I like to go to the gym and work with weights. I like watching movies and re-watching the same TV series. And I also really enjoy all types of food. I'm the least picky eater that I know. And just a fun fact, I have never been snowboarding or skiing for living in Colorado my entire life. Sounds very scary to me. I don't know if I'll ever do it, but they're not too far. The mountains aren't too far from where I live. So this was a trip that I went on right before the school year started this year. This is Glenwood Springs, Colorado, which has a lot of hot springs that people go to soak in. Just a really beautiful shot that I took. This picture in the middle is my boyfriend's son, Asher. And then this is a picture over here of me and my boyfriend, James. So moving on to actual cultural diversity within me. My mom is 50% Hispanic and 50% Dutch, and my dad is 100% Hispanic. I've never researched my ancestors, so I don't really know much about my ancestry line. My mom was born and raised in Pueblo, Colorado. She has 3 siblings, and my dad was born and raised in New Mexico, not too far from where I live now, about 2 hours away, in a small town named Cuesta, and he actually has a lot of siblings. I think the number is about 14. Some traditions that my family follows. We don't really follow any cultural traditions, not too many Hispanic traditions. We have a lot more just family traditions. So for example, we go to my grandma's house for Christmas Eve. Growing up, we made a lot of homemade tortillas. We went on many family camping trips, etc. I don't think any of those classify to a certain race or culture. So otherwise, we don't really follow any Hispanic traditions in my household, since we are mostly Hispanic. These are just some pictures of my family. I do have a sister that's about 8 years younger than me. She's in that middle picture. She is going to turn 17 this year. And then those are my parents, my mom, my dad, back when I was in high school, back in college, and then this was also another traveling trip that we took to Las Vegas for my 21st birthday. So just a little bit more about me, my educational background. I earned my Bachelor's of Science at Colorado State University, Pueblo, which is about 20 minutes from my house. I received my degree in liberal studies, which is basically elementary education. And then I earned an endorsement to teach 7th through 12th English, if I ever choose to do so. Which I probably won't, but I have it if I choose to. Then I will hopefully earn my Master's of Science at Fort Hays State University in December 2021. So just about less than a year away, in educational leadership. So one day I hope to be either a vice principal or a principal, not of any specific age group, not anything I'm really into yet. I think I would be great at any level, but that is my plan for the further future. Currently, I teach in Pueblo County District 70, which is the county district of Pueblo. We also have an inner city district. So the county district is the largest area-wise in the entire state of Colorado. We are spread all the way from the mountains, some mountain schools, all the way across a mesa, and then out here in Pueblo West where I'm located. And I actually attended school K through 12 in the district that I currently teach in. I teach at Swallows Charter Academy, which is a K through 12 charter school. And this is my third year teaching. So the last 2 years I had taught third grade, and I had also done my student teaching at Swallows Charter Academy, so I fed into that. But this year, I, again, not only moved grade levels, but I'm also teaching online. So the first semester of the year, I switched to fourth grade, and I taught all of our online students for fourth grade. Now that the new year has started, I have 9 students in person while teaching 15 students synchronously with those in-person students every Monday through Thursday. So we have a 4-day week here in Pueblo West. We also, just this recent year, actually in 2019, won the Best Grant at Swallows Charter Academy. So we just opened, with the start of COVID in August, our brand new K-8 building. Sadly, I wasn't in here the first half of the year because I didn't have students in person, but I did get to build my classroom over Christmas break, and this is how it's turning out. There's a few more things on the wall now, but the school itself is beautiful. So let's get into the article and the YouTube videos that we needed to watch this week for this class. The first article, yes, this was the article, Preparing for Cultural Diversity, Resources for Teachers. Some things that I took note of during this reading were teachers should engage with all students in their classrooms in order to build relationships and rapport, which any good teacher already does. However, for those students that come from diverse backgrounds, so our EL students more than likely, teachers may need additional support. They may need either resources to do so or maybe a little more development professionally to do a better job at this. So one idea was the Teaching Tolerance Professional Development, which is anti-bias training. We've read a little bit about that in a past class I took that serves some very good information. I think some other things beyond that are just being aware of your biases. We all have them, as we know and learned throughout educational leadership. And then finally, we should really introduce and engage our students in our classroom in multiculturalism and diversity in the classroom. So some examples here that I have on screen, the pictures, is a multicultural day that a school was having with food and different wear, clothing, just a whole multicultural week. But maybe not focusing on that a specific day, but also integrating that throughout units that you're teaching and such. And then the other picture that I have on there are the multicultural washable markers. As you all know, hopefully, Crayola introduced these probably just a few years back, and all the markers are different color skin tones, because we never had that growing up. The second, in this case, this is a YouTube video, The Challenge of Cultural Diversity. This was Ting. Some things that I noted are that there's 1 billion migrants worldwide, so there are more migrants than I had thought actually worldwide. And then I really took away the tri-component model of attitudes from this video. So cognitive attitudes. They make assumptions about a group or person. I think a lot of people do this without even thinking about it. That's why it's cognitive. Affective. Friendly, neutral, or hostile towards a group or person based on assumptions. So you're putting your cognitive thoughts into effect. You are acting a certain way towards a group based on the assumptions that you've made. And then finally, behavioral. Behavior towards a group of people is influenced by assumption. Now, I think that's what we're seeing a lot of nowadays all over the news, are that people are influencing others to act a certain way. And a lot of that is just based on cultural insensitivity. People aren't aware of, or choosing not to be aware of, others' cultures. And the image that I chose that reminded me of this, of course, what we're facing in the world now, all lives matter. Do all lives matter, or is that out there just to cover our bases? So all lives matter. The third YouTube video I watched, Cultural Diversity, the Sum of Our Parts. This was a TED Talk, I believe. And the important things that I noted, it takes only 7 to 10 seconds to make an impression of somebody and what you believe about them and what you're going to think about them. The other thing I took away is that we all are jigsaw puzzles. And what we do, we need to connect our pieces together, and we decide what our pieces are. Which leads me to my next point. She stated, we focus right now on racial diversity. So we see people as black, white, Hispanic, Asian. We see their race. We don't necessarily focus on culturally how people are diverse. Finally, what's noted here is that we should share our experiences, and we should do that genuinely. Like she said in the video, there's nothing worse than sharing your experiences and someone not being genuine and caring about them. So what I posted on here as my picture is my jigsaw puzzle. So it has, of course, the question mark, which is what we bring, and then the perspective, our identity, and our policy, which she speaks about throughout this video. The final YouTube video that I watched, which was also a TED Talk, is It's Past Time to Appreciate Cultural Diversity. So what I noted from this video was that there's a lot of pressure to adapt in a culture that isn't yours. And of course, we see that all the time. It's really difficult to adapt to a culture that isn't yours. And it's just as difficult to, in the classroom or in other situations, to present a culture that isn't yours. You're uncomfortable because you don't know it. The second thing I noted here is that culturally diverse teams are more innovative. That's what she talked about throughout this, is that minorities aren't progressing with other majorities that are in the same companies because of this bamboo ceiling, which means we don't have enough innovation because we're not seeing these different backgrounds at every level. And then finally, go beyond the demographics. These are strengths in differences, which I think just goes back to what she was talking about the entire TED Talk with the bamboo ceiling. There are strengths in differences, so why not encourage these differences? And of course, for that one, I have a picture of the bamboo ceiling. So some similarities that I noted, pretty much all together, Swallows Charter Academy, the school I work at, and Pueblo West, Colorado are not very culturally diverse. And it's not our problem, there's just not a very culturally diverse minority or majority here where we are. I put here that 90% of our city, Pueblo West, is Caucasian. Only 22.5% are Hispanic, and 3.6% are other ethnicities. Which means, feeding into Swallows, we don't have a lot of diverse culture. In the future, at my future school, to improve and advocate, I would encourage multicultural awareness every day. Not just a specific day, but I would do so by encouraging teachers to bring other cultures into their lesson plans. So maybe on holidays, as they discuss different countries, all things in that way. And then finally, in order to do that, I think we need to make our teachers more comfortable, which means we need to provide multicultural awareness for professional development, which I believe the state of Colorado is now enforcing. In order to renew our license, we have to have 25 hours of EL diversement training. So, for an example, of course, teaching tolerance. So finally, this is my reflection. I think I'm going to run out of time to discuss this entire slide. Like I said before, I did know a lot about my own hometown, but I did find this assignment very beneficial to my introduction of cultural diverseness and awareness. And here are my references. Thank you.